So thank you so much again for joining us. For those who were not in when I was introducing myself, my name is Topista Karani. I'm a communications officer at the Africa Population and Research Health Center, and I will be moderating today's session. So we are going to talk about the Africa Research Support Hub. And before we go directly to the Africa Research Support Hub, I'd like to talk more about APHRC, what we do at APHRC. So we are a policy-driven organization where we have our key functions on research excellence, where we've got a proven track record in research. We also do capacity strengthening. This is measured from the various programs that we have at APHRC, and also we are key on policy advocacy and African leadership. So who we are. Our vision stands at transforming lives in Africa through research, and our mission is to generate evidence and strengthen research and related capacity in Africa R&D ecosystem, and engage policy to inform action on health and development. So how does research transform life? This is through evidence that is used, and more so research done by more and more people, and the evidence that is used through this research. Our strategic objectives under APHRC, we do have RRCS, which is the Research and Related Capacity Strengthening division, which is housed under APHRC. Just a minute, let me minimize my screen. There we go. So our research and related capacity strengthening strategic objectives under APHRC, we have three units that are housed under our research and related capacity strengthening unit. That is the individual capacity strengthening, institutional capacity strengthening, and R&D ecosystem strengthening. So under R&D, our main objective is to strengthen support structures, regulatory frameworks, and linkages for Africa research institutions and researchers to become critical voices, drivers of the development agenda in Africa. And under our individual strengthening, capacity strengthening, here, our objective is to strengthen the technical, interpersonal, and interpersonal aspects of individuals' capacity to undertake high-quality research by contributing to development and implementation of Africa's self-sufficiency in R&D. And under our final unit, which is the institutional capacity strengthening, our main objective here is to strengthen institutional capacities to collaboratively develop, enhance structures and processes that promote research and development in Africa. So what do we do at Africa Research Support Hub? What is the Africa Research Support Hub? So this is an African-centric research support hub that provides critical research and grantmanship required to conceptualize research and successfully fundraise for this. So under our Africa Research Support Hub, we have 3 satellite stations, that is West and Central Africa for the bilingual in French and English, the South African satellite station, and the Eastern Africa satellite station. So this Support Hub project is a 3-year learning partnership with Welcome that started in 2024 and runs to 2027. So our plan, what is our plan? Is to enroll and train mentorship and training for our PhD, and give access to resources for mentorship, light training, and intense training with protected time for post-PhD in the early and mid-career researchers. We do, under the APHRC, we do have a community of practice, and this community of practice, we have 250 who have enrolled, who have applied for our face-to-face training for mentorship, and in our Moodle platform. We have over 5,500 registered in our self-directed online courses, and we have over 8,000 registered on our public webinars that we run every month. So these are some of our key learnings. Over 500 responses we've gotten from our PhD. So here we have mentorship, we have networking, we identify funding mechanism, we talk about proposal writing skills, we have funder requirements. So individually, we merely seek to enhance research skills and grantmanship for our individuals. And at our institutional level, we seek to get fund management and support. And under systemic, we are majorly in focus on mentorship and networking. This is our reach so far. we've gotten so far over 2,300 webinar participants, and you can see from the map, these are the countries that registered for these webinars. So how can you engage with us? We do have our community of practice where you can scan the QR code, but I will share the link on our chat once I'm done with the presentation, where you can join our community of practice. Under our community of practice, you will find our grant writing, where you can join our group under community of practice under grant writing and be able to engage with us and continue with the conversations, not just from here, but even after this webinar. So how do you access this community of practice? First, you will have to go to the community of practice, that is cop.fhrc.org, login, select the interest group on grant writing, introduce yourself, and then engage through the platform. So these are some of the self-paced courses that we offer. We've got the grant writing courses. Here again, you can access our grant writing courses through this link QR code, but I will also share this on chat for you to be able to click on it and join our self-paced courses, which are free. What are our key challenges for early and mid-career researchers in sub-Saharan Africa? And we've got the 3 sections under systemic, institutional, and individual. So key challenges that we've gotten under systemic is the dominance of English in funding and publication. We've also gotten gender disparities in funding and recognition, and also some imbalance in global North-South research partnership. Under institutional, we've got lack of structured mentorship, weak research infrastructure, absence of research support offices, and grant management bureaucracies and misuse. And finally, under our individual side, we've got heavy teaching and admin workloads, low visibility and publication output, transitional challenge post-PhD, and women's caregiving burdens affecting this research. So I will stop at that and then ask for any reactions as I do share some of these links that I've just mentioned, so that you can be able to interact with us in our COP and our online self-courses, which are going to be accessed on chat. Just also to mention that we have launched our new FHRC website, which has gone live today. Please feel free to go and log in and interact with our new FHRC website, see how it looks, how it is easily navigatable. You can be able to move from one tab to the other. In case of any information you're looking for, it is readily available. I do encourage you to interact with us and give comments on our new look. And there we go. I have shared some of the links that I've discussed about. And now I would like to move on to introducing our panelist for today. So our webinar today is on mentorship and peer learning for competitive grant writing. And with us, we do have Dr. Damaris Matoke Muhia, a senior principal research scientist in the Kenya Medical Research Institute. Dr. Damaris is a molecular biology research scientist and acting deputy director of the biotechnology research program at the Kenya Medical Research Institute, where she also heads the genomics and sequencing facility and serves as the National Precision Medicine Task Force. With over 15 years of field and laboratory experience, focusing on vector-borne diseases, particularly malaria and leishmaniasis, her research centers on applying genomics to understand and control human disease. She holds a PhD in molecular medicine and a master's in biotechnology, a bachelor's in biochemistry, and has completed the Advanced Healthcare Management Program at Strathmore University. Dr. Matoke Muhia has secured research grants as a PI and co-PI for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, NIH, Wellcome Trust, NRF, and other funders, has mentored PhD and master's students, and is passionate about supporting young women in STEM. a recognized global advocate for advancing the role of African women in malaria and VBD research. He's a member of various technical working groups and has received honors including the Kofi Annan Global Health Leadership Fellowship, the 2020 Aspen New Voices in Global Health Fellowship, and the Gates Foundation Heroes in the Field Award. Please let us welcome Dr. Matoke. You can say hi before I introduce the next speaker. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Topista. Hi, everyone.
All right, a round of applause to her. All right, thank you so much. So our next panelist is Dr. Bernard Ondieki, a training coordinator at the Virtual Learning Academy. Dr. Bernard has over 10 years of experience in digital learning, curriculum development, training, and ICT management, with expertise in learning management systems such as Moodle and Blackboard, as well as student-informed systems, ERP platforms, and ICT infrastructure. He holds a PhD in information systems from KCA University, a master's in information system management, and a bachelor's in ICT management. Currently, he serves as a training coordinator for the Virtual Learning Academy here at FHRC under the Research and Related Capacity Strengthening Division, where he leads the development of online and blended training programs and supports communities of practice for knowledge creation. Previously, as an ICT manager and e-learning technical director at Park University, he transitioned universities' operations online and supported e-learning capacity building for 33 universities across East Africa. Bernard is result-oriented and a strong team player. Please welcome Bernard.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Bernard. I will quickly go to our session for the day. And here, today's session is more on some questions that we are going to ask our panelists, and they will give responses. And also, I will open the floor to you, our participants, to ask any questions or any follow-up comments you might have. Please interact with us through the chat and through the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen as we go along today's discussion. So I will begin with you, Dr. Damaris Matoke. From your experience, what kind of mentorship actually makes a difference in helping researchers develop competitive grant proposals? Dr. Damaris?
Thanks a lot, Topista. Mentorship is Yes, thanks a lot, Topista. I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, thanks a lot for that question. Mentorship is extremely key. And one of the things we need to say that as an African researcher, performance is structurally important. So mentorship becomes a question that we need to be very strategic about, and it's not an option. So we acknowledge that we host, population-wise, we host more than 18% of the global population. But when you look at the research output globally, we are at around 1 to 2%. So the gap is extremely huge. And this gap is not because we lack talent or talent is a deficit. It's because it reflects that our funding system is really wanting. Mentorship pipelines need to be strengthened or be created. And we also need a lot of institutional support. So one of the suggestions that's maybe based on experience and based on interactions with various people, it's important that mentorship is very intentional. So the intentional mentorship needs to be present, not only in research institutions, in the academia, in the policy frameworks. So mentorship needs to be embedded in the pipelines of institutions, the various institutional platforms. So first of all, it's the intentional mentorship that has worked, but also mentorship that is continuous. in a way that once you move from one level to the other, you need to have a mentor. When you start your career, you need to have a mentor. But as you grow up, you need to also mentor someone below you. So it needs to be, can I say, hierarchical in a way that even if you are at a CEO level, you need to have a mentor. So we need to create pipelines that strengthen mentorship from lower levels up to higher levels. So that kind of mentorship can have an impact in most of the institutions, including the academia, including ministries, various ministries that have. So also mentorship that is structured. Structured mentorship is very important, and not the kind of mentorship that is impromptu. I'll stop there. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. And with mentorship being structured, would you elaborate a bit on the structure? Do you mean straight from working with your mentee from the get-go?
Okay, thanks a lot again for that. When we talk about structure, is mentorship that knows what it's doing, what it's headed to, what is the end goal. And then in between, as you understand the vision, where this mentorship needs to lead to, then you put in systems that helps you achieve the goal of the mentorship program. What I mean is that the mentorship shouldn't be like one morning you're here, you're assisting me write the proposal, tomorrow there's nothing else. So it needs to have a goal and there needs to be what needs to be done. So as you know, the goal, you develop what needs to be done. And the structure needs to be in a way that a mentee is paired with a mentor who is able to help them achieve the goal. So when it's structured is that you are able to do, you need to look for the mentor who fits the needs of the mentee, but also mentors have goals. So the goals needs to fit into what the mentor wants to achieve over time. So that's what I mean. The structure has to be very clear. What are we going to do to achieve the vision or the goal of the mentee or of the entire mentorship program? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Damaris. I'll pose a question to you, Bernard. I'd like you to highlight some aspects of the community of practice. So for you, I will pose a question on how effective do communities of practice for grant writing look like in real terms, and how does it support researchers beyond one-off trainings?
Okay, thank you so much, Topista. Yeah, and basically, I think community of practice is actually a new term to most of the people, especially in Africa. And when I get an opportunity to meet early career researchers and people in academia and research, one of the questions that I normally ponder to them is, what is the understanding of community of practice? And some of them, you'll actually hear them talking about a community of practice being a WhatsApp group. Others will say that a community of practice is just a system where people post conversations and all that. But if you look at it keenly, group is not a community of practice. And I believe most of the participants have participated in, have actually been members of several WhatsApp groups. And if you look keenly, you realize that you are a member of more than 10 WhatsApp groups. And those WhatsApp groups, if there is no meaningful engagement, and if there is nothing that, there's no output that is coming out of it at the end of the day, then we can't say that that is a community of practice. So basically, a community of practice is a structured, ongoing peer learning ecosystem that at the end of the day for grant writing participants produces proposals over time. And I would basically say that a good community of practice, just as Matoke has said, must have a clear structure and it must have a purpose. And it goes without mentioning, any group that you join, the question that you'll ask yourself is, what value am I getting from this? So if you are in a group that doesn't bring you any value, you'll find yourself either being dormant in that group or exiting the group altogether. So an effective community of practice must have a clear structure, and there must be a purpose for why it was formed. Then there has to be a lot of peer engagement within that community. So discussions should always be flowing. So people ask questions, they get expert opinion without any fear, any fear of being maybe judged or something. Then it should actually have people at different spheres of grant writing career. So we need to have early career researchers, mid-career researchers, and also we need to have expert people who've won a lot of grants and all that. Then at the end of the day, everything must be measured. So at the end of the day, we need to have measurable outputs from that community. So
All right.
with this,
Thank you.
we can actually say, maybe just give me 2 seconds. Yeah, so a good community of practice should actually move from knowledge to application. So people learn and then they come up with something that is concrete. And then there must be accountability within the community of practice. And then basically, we also need to have a continuous learning where members can, at the end of the day, can take stock and say that this is what I've learned. Thank you.
All right. I will pause. I will also have a follow-up on your side. So how can these communities of practice help researchers learn from each other's successes and failures in securing grants?
Okay, thank you. So now that it's a form of continuous learning system, there has to be a way in which somebody can actually come and look back and see this researcher had been asking this kind of questions, and at the end of the day, through this community of practice, they were able to learn. So such learnings are actually documented within the community of practice and can help people who are not vocal within the community of practice and people who've been struggling. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. That is insightful. And from that, I will like to pull another question to Damaris. So we've heard about communities of practice encouraging and helping researchers access and communicate and be able to engage with each other in the platform. So from your side, how can peer learning and working with colleagues at similar career stages strengthen grant writing skills and confidence? Over to you, Damaris.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that question, Topista. One of the things that is extremely important is peer learning. You can hear me? Is extremely important as colleagues,
Yeah, it's
as
shaky.
yeah. And now?
You're good, you're good.
Okay. Yeah, so peer learning is one of the powerful tools which needs to be embraced in the various institutions, including where I work, because one of the things peer learning does is that it removes hierarchies and creates a safety or environments where colleagues or people at the same level can be able to work in a way that it's a bit free, in a way that is more, they can consult one another. One of the things we need to accept that as peers, we tend to face similar challenges somehow. And you realize that some of the uncertainties are similar to each one of us. So working together is able to demystify the process. And you find that as peers, there's a component of being accountable to one another, because maybe if I'm doing something, then my colleague will be able to watch my back and also even support or even encourage. It's able to build confidence and also create even writing. I keep on saying in my office that it's important to have a writing culture, but more so it's able to even create what we call as writing clubs. And even you can get reviewers or criticisms that is very positive from your colleagues, and you're able to normalize even the part of getting rejections. Because one of the things when you're writing proposal or you're submitting a grant, one of the things you anticipate is, yes, you pray and anticipate, yes, it's accepted and it's funded. But the other thing is that it's possible that the same grant you can get a rejection. So once you get a rejection, it can actually make someone to feel like, you know what, I'm not trying again. But when you're with peers, they're able to tell you, I've actually also faced similar rejections, or I've also faced similar acceptance. And maybe they're able to tell you, oh, the reviews that you received are workable. You can actually submit this maybe with the same donor or somewhere else. So it creates an environment that is extremely conducive in a way that you can actually share drafts that people are working on and be able to get feedback before even you submit. I'm here talking about the grant before you reach out to donors, or even before you submit your manuscript for publication, or before even you apply for a certain fellowship. So it's able to improve the thinking and also provide clarity and actually improve whatever that someone is submitting. So as I said, it also builds confidence and also ensures that these networks that you create of peers can lead even with longer term. So peer learning actually can lead into long-term collaborations or partnership. And it actually conclude with as you become a group of writers, as you become a group of peers that critique one another, support one another, encourage and motivate one another, build confidence with one another, there's a possibility that you'll be extremely successful in most of the things that you do, be it proposal submissions. So it's possible that peer learning sharpens. It says that an iron sharpens iron. So it's that moment that you will see that you build relationships that are successful. So sustaining peer learning is extremely important, or having peers that you work with, because then you're collectively as a team building skills with one another.
All right. You've talked about sustaining them. So how can the early and mid-career researchers sustain these peer learning groups beyond these short trainings or workshops that they get to interact together? What are some of the ways to encourage them to sustain these groups even after they've collaborated?
I think one of the things that is extreme, which we need to admit, that you can never build a team one-off. So as an early career, maybe you have 2 or 3 people in the same field that you're working with. And that consistency of keep on asking, or even having discussion moments, because even when a call comes out, assuming it's a proposal call, a grant writing call, one of the most important things to do is to share with your fellow peers that you trust, that you're willing to work with, and even assess the capacity. Who can actually, is it me who can go in and be the PI as they support you as co-PI, or even as just they advise you? So for sustainability purposes is that you need to build that peer learning over time. It's not everyone that may be at workplace that you can work with, who can be your peer, but there are people that you'll be able to realize that they have certain skill sets that you really want to impress and have, or you want to tap into. So for you to be able to form that kind of networks, you have to keep on being consistent. There is a part of consistency, even as alumni, is refer to each other frequently. Check on what are you working on this time? Can I help you? Actually, I can see you're responding to this call. Can I support? And I think you need this certain. Be the referrals. You can even refer your people that you know who are part and parcel. So as part of early careers, you build that relationship, build trust over time, work together and be transparent to one another. Don't hide information. And I know one of the things that is a challenge with early careers is that we tend to hold into information, and which actually becomes a challenge, because you hold on to it, someone else holds into it, we are not going to be successful. So embrace that part of learning from one another and make it continuous. Let it be a continuous process. Don't do it as one-off and you stop there. Make it a continuous process of working together and learning. So that's the moment it can be extremely sustainable. And do not take negative criticism personal to your heart. Negative criticism actually is one of the things that build to stronger grants, better grants, and also build stronger relationships. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Damaris. And to you, Bernard, the same applies to you in trust. Talking about trust. So what role do trust, regular engagement, and shared resources play in sustaining an active grant writing community of practice?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, again, I would say that in order for you to have a sustained community of practice, one of the things that you need to have is there needs to be trust within the community. There also needs to be regular engagement, and there's also the need of shared resources. So I'll say that if you can apply those three, then you are sure that your community of practice be able to be sustained or will be able to grow. And a community of practice that is not sustained or is not growing is basically dying. So bringing in these three ingredients will basically lead to life within the community of practice. And basically, trust is whereby there is a lot of openness and collaboration within the community of practice. And you've realized that there are some communities whereby people will be able to hold their information. And the reason why they hold is because maybe they fear that whenever they share the information, they'll be judged harshly, or maybe they will never, people will not take their feedback seriously in the future, or maybe anything that they bring on the table will not be taken seriously. And with the trust also, it means that people now will be able to share freely. And because as for early career researchers, one of the things that they'll want to share with their fellow members of the community is basically things to do with a draft proposal. You've just come up with an idea, you want your fellow peers to be able to look at it and give you feedback, sometimes budgets, sometimes some of the previous failures that they have gone through. And when you have trust, then you'll actually feel free to speak to your peers and give them their feedback. Even if rejection has come from the funder, you'll be able to tell them without fear. And then you'll also not feel that there is competition within the community. Because if you feel that there is competition, sometimes you'll not be able to share freely with them, because maybe you'll feel that somebody might steal your idea, or somebody might think that you are doing so well, then they will not give you honest opinion and all that. So trust is very important. And then, as I said earlier, that a community of practice where there is no engagement, it will definitely die, because you'll find that maybe a day goes by, or even 2 days, or even a week without anybody sharing anything. There's definitely a problem with that community. So normally, for a community of practice to be sustained, there should be structured way of engagement, and this would include checkup clinics, maybe
Bernard, you're breaking. Hello, Bernard, can you hear us? You're breaking. Bernard, have we lost you? All right. It seems that we have lost Bernard. Okay.
Sorry, I think I disappeared for a minute.
Yes, you did.
Okay, so maybe I'll just go back to the second one that I was talking about, the regular engagement. And I said that with regular engagement, it actually, what it tries to do is to build momentum within the community. And I said that you can have scheduled clinics within the community whereby you have check-in on where people are, bring experts from within or even outside who can be able to train the members of the community, and then ensure that there is that habit of accountability among the members. Then whenever you have maybe a call or a check-in, ensure that you update people on the current trends, and then always have a way in which you can reduce dormancy within the group, even if it means that you assign people buddies within the community. That can actually help bring a lot of energy and also relevance within the community. And then finally, as I said earlier, a community of practice that doesn't have value will always die naturally. So one way in which you can add value is bring in resources. And one area that can actually attract people into a community is when maybe you have a summarized list of calls. So you place calls for grants where people can constantly be checking what is this all about. And once they see it, they can always communicate in case it's something that they can do. So have also templates for various funders, be it Welcome, be it IDRC, be it Gates, have them there so that people are able to see. And then you can also have a summarized maybe document with some of the reviewers' feedback from each of the members. So in case a member gets feedback, they can always publish them, so that can be like a repository where people can be able to come back and see before they can write, or as they're in the progress of writing. Then you can actually also come up with quality checks for the various funders and put them as a resource. And then at the end of the day, you'll basically realize that if you put the trust, put engagement, and also put the resources together, definitely it's going to transform your group from a mere WhatsApp group to a high-performing grant writing ecosystem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Bernard. I will also like to engage you in one last question to connect with what you've just said. So based on your experience, how can early and mid-career researchers best engage in or contribute to the community of practice to strengthen their grant proposals?
Thank you very much, Topista. One thing that I want to say is that the first thing is identifying the best community of practice to join. One mistake that early and mid-career researchers make is that they join all the communities that come on their way. When they see a link to join the community, they join. So you need to know your needs, know what you actually require, and this will guide you in identifying the best community to join. And once you join, make sure that you take full advantage of the community. Ask relevant questions, because I'm sure not everybody will be communicating, but you can even identify the people that have skills similar to you. And then you can start developing a professional relationship with them. Follow them on LinkedIn, follow them on Twitter, so that when they are nice opportunities, you'll always be following and finding, and then keep a relationship. We normally say that a good community or a strong community of practice has bonds, relationship bonds. Make sure you have relationships with the right people within the community, and that will actually take you places. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. Back to you, Damaris. What are some of the common mistakes that you see early and mid-career researchers making in grant writing, and how can mentors and peers help address them?
Thanks for that question, Topster. Allow me to video because I realized it was struggling when I was listening to Bernard. So for some of the common mistakes that early career and mid-career researchers make include, one of them is focusing heavily on the technical detail, while you find that there's not much time that is invested in the narrative. So usually what I've seen over time is that if I'm a reviewer of a proposal, or if I'm given a chance to critique and provide my feedback on a proposal, a reviewer is usually persuaded by this compelling story. And this story has to have, what is the problem that you're addressing? Is it clear? Is the problem clear? What is the approach, the logical approach that is being used in addressing this problem? And is there impact? At times, as a writer, I might think that there's an impact, but is that impact really what we need, or what is needed by, especially if it's a call for proposal? So if maybe I'm a writer or someone who's trying to respond to that, it needs to work with the mentors. So that one of the things a mentor will do as part of ensuring that whatever you're putting in technically and the narrative you're providing is to ask themselves, or ask you as the author or as the peer of the project, is to ask you, is the proposal easy to understand for a non-specialist reviewer? Because these proposals are given to people who understand the technical language, and people who are looking for more to see whether, as a general person, can it have an impact. So they will sit back and ask you that, is this proposal easy to understand for someone who's a layman or someone who's not a specialist? The other mistake is usually you find that the proposal that one is submitting is not aligned to the funder's priorities, be it Wellcome Trust, Gates Foundation, be it NIH, EDCTP, whichever. So you find that you're submitting a proposal that is partially, maybe the title or whatever you're doing is not really speaking to the priority of that donor or that funder. So you find that, me as a scientist, you're writing a proposal that really you're compelled, this is a good thing and we need to do it. But for the funder, it's not what really what the funder is seeking, or whatever the funder needs to fund. So we need to ensure that the proposal written are speaking to the funder's priority, or are speaking to the call that has been put out there. The other third thing is underestimating feasibility. You tend, maybe most of the time, you find we are writing overly ambitious. You find our aims are extremely ambitious. You find they're extremely unrealistic with the various timelines. Maybe you want to do the proposal in 3 years, but you want to change the entire maybe community within those 3 years, which is not achievable if I was a reviewer. So you find that we are giving in proposal that's honestly we are underestimating their feasibility. And you find even you don't have preliminary. Most of the donors want to see, have you done this before? Or do you have experience to do this? Do you have networks that can support you? How is your team composed of? Do they have, yes, the technical expertise, and also do they have the depth and reach, or that can actually support this proposal to be done, to be executed? So, and it's extremely important that you, as a early career, mid career, that we seek also feedback from the peers, as I said earlier, so that they are able to give you invaluable criticism. So part of that underestimating feasibility is the other part of trying to say, this is a game changer. This proposal is a game changer. We are going to do genomics and we're going to change maybe cancer management, etc. But you find that you have really overpromised, not overpromised, but you've really talked about a huge work which cannot be the budgets cannot meet, or the amount to be funded cannot meet. So looking at budget and the timelines given, you cannot achieve that. and you don't have maybe experience. So it's good also to look at what is your technical expertise and also what kind of teams you have. So the other thing you find that even as I'm writing the proposal, you find that as a peer, as an early career or as a mid career, you're not really into that. You've not put your mind into that problem that you want to address. You find that you have isolated. Most people tend to remove them from the problem and look that the problem they want to address is for someone else in there. So if you are the peer, it's important you put yourself into it, because that helps you, it encourages ask yourself a question that if I was to do this, if it was to be done in my village, or it was to be done for my community or myself, what impact will it have? So don't remove yourself from the problem, but put yourself into the problem and address that problem. So lastly, I'll talk about having multi-stage reviews of the proposal. So you find that, as I said earlier, don't write and have it by yourself and submit. Encourage that peer criticism, but also share it with your mentors so that they can help you shape the idea. And also do not wait till last minute. Most of us submit proposals extremely late or a few minutes to the deadline. Try and have your ideas concretized, look for the information needed way in advance, and submit early enough. And that gives you an opportunity. If the portal is open, you can even go in and modify before the timeline. So you find that some of the proposals are knocked out because we submitted just a few minutes to the deadline. The system is hanging, and there's no one present to be able to, maybe if it's an institution that needs to submit, you're trying to look for them, it's a few minutes to 5 or a few minutes to midnight, and they cannot be reachable. So that part creates anxiety, and you find that you've invested so much time writing and you're losing that. So those are some of the minor things that can be fixed, but the major ones is ensuring that we are writing compelling stories, we are speaking to the funders' priority, we are also trying to see the visibility of the work that we are proposing, and also we're inviting mentor or peer reviews. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was well elaborated. And this question now goes to both of you. I will begin with Bernard, then we can have Damaris answer. So how do mentorship, peer learning, and community of practice complement each other in strengthening grant writing skills, particularly for the early and mid-career researchers?
Okay, thank you, Chopista. So first of all, I want to agree that and community of practice, they actually reinforce each other, because all of them are aimed at increasing the skills or enhancing the skills that an individual or maybe a group of individuals have. So I'll just discuss the three, and then I'll be able to also loop them together to see how they increase the capacity of the early and mid-career researchers. So as Matoke said initially, mentorship is about individualized guidance, whereby somebody works with you like a coach working with a player so that they are able to realize their potential. So it's basically provides one-on-one support, and this one normally comes from experienced
Bernard, your internet is shaky. We are losing you. Hello, Bernard.
That is feedback from proposal structure, framing, budgeting, fund alignment, and then they also guide. Yeah. Can you hear?
You keep dropping. You're a bit shaky. Oh, and we lost him. Maybe Damaris, you can kick in with to answer the same question. I can maybe repeat it for you as we wait for Bernard. So how does mentorship, peer learning, and community of practice complement each other in strengthening the grant writing skills, particularly for early and mid-career researchers?
Thanks, Naomi. I think one of the things, maybe, sorry for Bernard dropping off, is mentorship and peer learning and community of practice operate as different layers in the same capacity ecosystem. And there is strength in the combination of all of them. So you cannot substitute one for the other. One of the things is that mentorship is a vertical whereby there's one-on-one. There's also, it transfers strategic intelligence, whereby it helps mostly young and upcoming, the mid-career people, so that it's able to help us understand how the funding ecosystem works. And it also helps to position ideas, the ideas, to strengthen the ideas that we are submitting or one is submitting. And finally, one is able to support with and navigate reviewer expectations if we encourage mentorship. So if we look at African setting, our research environment, where we access informal funding, knowledge is uneven. You find that knowledge is uneven. So mentorship is able to reduce structural inequalities. The other thing when we talk about peer learning, which is, as I said, mentorship is vertical, but peer learning tends to be horizontal, because most of the people that you're dealing with, somehow you have similar experiences, you're in the same level, you're doing almost similar things. But as I said earlier, that peer learning is able to build confidence and also able to provide skill sets that achieve the desired goal, because your peers are able to critique you whichever way, both negative and positive. So the ability of peer learning, it turns grant writing from solidarity, where we talk about working in silos or an individual, just a one-person things, to mostly a collective effort where we have people crafting ideas together and submitting them together. So as I said earlier, you're able to ensure that even as you receive rejection or you receive negative feedback, you're able to take them with acceptance, and therefore it makes that part process quite seamless and maybe normal. So finally, if we talk about communities of practice, you find those ones like the Cambry. I come from Cambry. You find that the institutions that we operate in, the community of practice tends to apply at institutional levels. So that one is mostly embedded in learning, into a learning culture, whereby you keep on learning from one another, or learning as an institution, or policies are put in together. So instead of those silos or isolated success stories, it becomes into institution shared standards, because people will keep on saying, this is how it has worked before, this is how it's working, and this is how we like it to work. So you find that there's it's a community of practice, and if you're in an institution, even internal reviews becomes normal. You find that individuals are subjected into internal reviews, whether the team that is reviewing your work is participating in the grant application. So because you have that community of practice, the review comes from your teams collectively. So you have that formalized process. And you find that there's collective memory. If your team is able to be aware that, oh, Damaris responded to the Welcome Discovery Grant, but also the institution rejoices when it's funded. So it becomes part of the, how did we do it last time? So if next time we are doing a similar thing, you find that that practice is that we did like this and we succeeded. We can do it with maybe certain areas, panel beating at certain areas, and becomes part and parcel of your normal processes. So in this one, we find that when there is community of practice in institutions, it makes competitiveness becomes extremely sustainable and becomes becomes a normal thing. So yeah, so I say that we can never substitute any of these three. They need to be present. We need to have our mentorship, which is vertical. As I said, we need to have peer learning, which affects us horizontally, and we need to have community of practice, which is mostly at institutional levels. So yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Damaris. Bernard, we had cut you short. You dropped off. Do you have any additions to this?
Yeah. Sorry for that. Yeah, so as I said, the three complement each other, or they add onto each other. And as Damaris has said, mentorship being individual guidance, it actually accelerates skills acquisition. And this one is through that personalized kind of coaching, and also the insights that are brought by the grant writers who have experience over time. Then for peer learning, basically, it brings in that collaborative skill sharpening, whereby you have people at different levels in terms of skills who are able now to add unto each other's skills, thereby sharpening each other. And the sharpening of these skills actually comes through critiquing each other's work, having reflections, and also that loop that is created. Maybe you've shared a document, it is looked at, given feedback, and then you refine it. So that actually brings about the peer learning. And then for community of practice, it actually brings in that long-term capacity. It's like a pipeline whereby you can always come back to see what learnings were there before. And then it also brings in that shared resource whereby you can always go back and maybe get information that you need. For mentorship, it's basically the competence. Peer learning brings in that confidence and also quality. And then community of practice brings in that sustainability and also increases your capacity. So with these three, I believe that when you apply all of them, or when you have them in an organization, it will basically increase the level of grant writers within the institutions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. Thank you so much, Damaris. I would now quickly go to the chat and see if we do have any questions directed to you two. I see one. Someone, an anonymous attender, has said, you give us some tips for the Gates call of proposals. Maybe, Damaris, you can answer this question. What are some of the tips you can give to this attendee when writing a Gates call of proposal?
Thanks a lot for that great question. I think one of the things, I can't say there's a magic bullet. Even the things that we've discussed before, the ability to write a successful grant, those are the things it takes. One of them is, as we said, it's not really a tip, but it's more of common sense, is that are you the topic expert when you're submitting that proposal? Do you have the both technical and knowledge, know-how about the subject that you're responding to? So is the question that you want to address, can it be achieved by you or the team that you're putting in place? So how is your team composition? When you're convinced about your idea, you're convinced about the team, how do you write it down? How is your narrative? Is it speaking to how you like that story, how you like that work done? And when you write that narrative, it needs to be someone has to understand both the technical and someone who's a layman. So when it gets to them, it needs to be obvious. This is what Damaris wants to address, or this is what so and so want to address. So beyond looking at the narrative, then they look at have you proposed something that is doable, right? So is it doable in a way that if you're proposed to address a problem within a year, when they look at it, and maybe you want to build a certain empire, which for sure in 1 year it can, what are the timelines that you proposed? What is your budget? How does your budget look like? And is this budget thought through? Have you thought through what are the key deliverables, and the money you're asking, can it achieve that? And finally, one of the things that we talk about, does it have impact? What is the impact of what you propose proposal. Is that what, if we talk about the Gates Foundation, is that what they're looking for? If it's that, the impact that you're talking about, is that their priority? If they're asking maybe on sexual reproductive health and you're proposing something to do with infectious diseases, malaria, which have nothing to do with sexual reproductive health, so you find that it's not the priority for them at that time. So have you written something that fits or speaks to their priority? So it's like any other donor with the Gates Foundation, and they're able to, so long as your story is compelling and it meets whatever I've described above, they for sure they can fund. So look out for their calls. Thank you.
All right. And this one goes to question goes to Bernard. Someone is asking how they can get a mentor if they're not from Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Topista. Yeah, it's very possible to get a mentor. And how is this possible? Yeah, you can actually get a mentor through communities of practice. And we had shared our community of practice that has been developed within APHRC. And if you join there, you'll be able to see people who have introduced themselves with their whatever they are doing. So that's one way in which you can be able to get the mentors. Then we also have another system or another platform within APHRC, the African Research, the Research Mapping Platform. Maybe we are going to share the link on the chat box. So with this platform, it actually brings so many researchers together. So you'll be able to see their university, their country, and also their research area. And even you as a researcher, you can just Google yourself and you'll be able to find your details there. So that's also another place where you'll be able to find people whom you can be able to collaborate with. And another area is during the conferences that are normally organized, especially if you go to conferences that are in your thematic area. I don't just go there to listen. Also, during tea breaks, make sure that you form, you actually meet people, talk to them, know what they are researching, their research area is all about. And with that, you'll be able to have their contacts. And anytime you want maybe to do a collaboration, you can always collaborate, and you can also get them as your mentors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. To you, Damaris, we have another question here. How can grassroots organizations like Purpose Rwanda strengthen grant proposals when competing with larger NGOs that have dedicated grant writing teams and established donor relationships?
Yeah, thanks for that question. Yeah, I know maybe organizations that are starting need to also compete, and you're in the same field with the people who have been there for years and years who have won specific grants. But I think some of the things is that intentionality. As Purpose Rwanda needs to have intention of being very intentional to win certain grants. I always say that you can start, it doesn't mean that you always have to start small, but Purpose Rwanda needs to, first of all, put system in place that can manage global or international grants. If you've been getting maybe national or in-country funding, but you need to have now structures that can manage internationally funded grants. So how is your structure? Do you have a dedicated office that handled both? You don't have to start when the grant is here, but even when you need to respond to a certain call, do you have an office that supports that entire process end to end? So it can be pre-award, before submission, and post-award. So that needs to be in place. Whether it's in a small way, you can have 2-3 people who have technical expertise in writing grants and not writing, in supporting research grants. And then from there, that can support at submission, at writing phase, and also even at managing when the grant comes in. The other part is that Purpose Rwanda should be able now to, if you've been competing nationally, now you can start now trying in small monies from outside, so that even when you're getting big, huge grants, you have the capacity and the stamina to manage. One of the discouragements that can be there is being awarded a huge grant, which an institution cannot be able to handle. So create your infrastructure, have human resources that are able to manage, but also have systems that can handle both nationally funded and globally funded, from small monies to huge monies. Yeah, having systems in place. Thanks. You're muted, Topista. You're muted.
Sorry about that. A follow-up to that. So we have another follow-up in line with that. So for organizations with strong impact data, like a 70% success rate compared to 30% global average, how do we effectively communicate this in proposals without appearing boastful and unrealistic?
So maybe if I understand the question, is it that now as Purpose Rwanda, you want to communicate the 30% that you've received or the 70% success rate?
Mm.
I needed to understand that, but I can answer it both ways. If you have had 70% success rate, which is very strong, I don't think nowadays things have changed. Things have changed whereby it's someone else who sang your success stories. As an organization, it's important that you talk about what you have done and you talk about the success or the grants that have you achieved. Yes, you have to be very clear that you're not boasting, but you are putting in messages that are clear. We have done, this is what we have done. This is a grant that we have won. What, apart from just winning, what have you done with that grant, that money? So you need to show that we received this, we did 1, 2, 3, and this is the impact. And so it has to be both ways. We have won, yes. Later, come tell us what you've done with that winning. So you turn your message in a way that you're trying to say the organization has the capability and capacity to manage. So that, as you said, effective communication. You need to have in place a corporate communication and a team that actually communicates both your successes, communicates both whatever you're doing during the process, and even communicates later your impact over time. So having a strong communication team that can communicate both to the scientific community, but also can communicate to the layman, to the policymakers, that communicate to the diverse population. So they are able to unpack that message without looking boastful or unrealistic. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Damaris. I hope you've been answered, Charles. I'll move on to another question that is directed to Bernard. So Bernard, someone here is asking, what are some of the qualities of a good mentor?
Thank you so much, Topista, for that. And mentorship is about relationship. So if you can translate the qualities of a good partner in a relationship, then that will answer. But I'll start by saying that a good mentor will always listen to you, regardless of where you are in terms of skills. They will always give you a listening ear. They will also be able to give you good feedback. And these are people who look at you in the eye and tell you, whatever you're doing is not right, but if you do it this way, then you will be able to have success. And yeah, they'll always keep you on check. They'll be your accountability partners, and they'll walk with you the rest, despite of how difficult it is. They'll always be there with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. I hope that question has been answered. Another question to you, Damaris. This is from Nixon. Should we build relationships with funders before applying? If so, how? And what makes a proposal stand out in a competitive review process?
Yeah, first of all, building a relationship before applying. That one, I'll say yes and no at the same time. One, it doesn't matter. But one of the things that don't have done, being Wellcome Trust, being Gates Foundation, being NIH, they put in both frequently asked questions, but also they put in contacts to reach out in case you need to seek clarification. So maybe in the process, you'll be able to build relationship with the donor as you're asking questions. But I know, and I'm very sure that it doesn't influence the decision. It's the quality of work that you put in that influences the outcome of the application that you put in. So yes, build the relationship because you're seeking clarification and trying to get more information about that, or whether your proposal fits into what they're looking for, so they're able to give you guidance, but it's not going to skew the outcome. You only have an advantage because you consulted and you're guided. The other part is that some of the institutions actually do not like if I was working with a welcome and in the main scheme that you're asking, do not like you coming to that individual directly, because at some point it might create bias. However, with the strong integrity, it's your compelling story or it's the question that you want to address and how it's projected out there that can give you a success. The other part, how can we, maybe remind me, Topstar, how can we build the other part of the question?
Okay. How can you, we talked about, should you build a relationship with funders before applying? If so, what makes a proposal stand out in a competitive review process?
Yeah, a proposal standing out, telling people that you want to do. And that whatever you've written that you want to do, as we said, is it good? Is it building an empire, or is it actually going to affect the common man, or is it for the common good of the population? That structure, or whatever you want to address, how is it key to the donor? How is it key to the community that you're reaching out? If it's a neglected tropical diseases, you want to address issues around neglected tropical diseases. Is it a priority maybe in the community you want to? Maybe they already have other issues that are major. But as we said, is it speaking to the donor priority? So writing a proposal, we need to have skill sets of writing proposals. And that skill set of writing proposals that speak to specific donors, even the writing style, the kind of English you use. Like now we have American English, UK English. So the kind, how you phrased your statement. So proposal writing skills are key, but even writing a proposal that speaks to that donor is extremely important. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. There's also a question to you again, Damaris. Can one be funded alone or write a proposal for a grant alone?
Two things that come in. I don't think you can write a proposal alone. And this can only work when you're in your extremely early career, which are PhD or MSc postgraduate proposals. But even donors, when they're putting in that call, they ask you who's going to be your mentor. Which institution is going to be your institution, which is going to be your sponsor. So you realize that writing alone can work, but it's to your disadvantage, because are you addressing one key area which you are an expert in that does not need input of others? So usually what is encouraged is that you need to show that you have a team that you work with that actually brings in. And maybe I give an example. If I wanted to address malaria, there's the epidemiological part of it. If I'm an epidemiologist, fine. But I need also maybe a social scientist who's able to address, or I need someone who's a public health expert, or someone who's able to work with communities. So it's subject to what you're writing, but you tend to gain when you have a team than when you're writing as an individual. So having a team is extremely important. You can write individually if there are those ones for masters and PhD, but also they need to see who's working with you as part of mentorship and sponsorship. Thank you.
All right. We have two more, I believe. There's one here by I can't see your name, but what are some of the unacceptable AI in proposal writing? Or rather, how does AI influence our proposal writing?
Is that to me or to Bernard?
Both of you, both of you. I can
Okay,
let
to
Bernard
Bernard
start,
in
then
particular.
yes. I'll let Bernard start, then you can chip in.
Yeah, I think one of the key concerns with AI is that it normally compromises originality and sometimes accuracy, because there are times that AI can pick just content from wherever. And then it also brings in the element of, it reduces transparency and also accountability. So in as much as AI is good, it can help you align your thoughts, but you should not use it in entirety to be able to come up with a proposal. Like there are people who they just go to AI, put whatever is required, they call there, and then it produces for them maybe a whole concept or maybe a proposal, then they submit it that way. So it's normally not a good idea. So just let it help you maybe shape your thoughts or maybe help you get some clarity, but you should not use it on its own to be able to generate for you content. And most of the calls, you'll find that they have an area where they want you to disclose whether you've used AI or not. So if you have not they find that you've not disclosed and you've used, then it might give you an issue. Yeah, so it should be used, but used in moderation, basically to shape your thoughts and also to help you with areas that maybe you might need some clarity. Yeah.
All right. Damaris, any addition?
Yeah, I think Bernard has put it out well. One of the things I'd like to add is that there's lack of humanness when we use AI. So as you said that, yes, use AI to guide your thoughts. And one of the things we need to learn is how to use AI and use it effectively. If you can invest your time to understand how to use AI and use it effectively, actually you can do more. So it's not as for AI at times, there are actually serious mistakes that AI makes. At times, it can even give you references that do not exist. So if a donor or a reviewer of your proposal realizes actually even the statement can be there, which is good, but when you look at the reference, it doesn't even exist or it's not relevant to what you're referring to. So yes, use AI, but have the human touch into that AI. Understand you yourself. So the human touch is you coming back and asking yourself, is what it's telling me what I want to do? At times, the statements AI brings out look so nice, but honestly, they don't have that impact or touch that is expected. So learn how to use AI and use it effectively, but invest yourself in it, have the human touch. But finally, remember, AI can never replace people. So try and customize that to what you want to say. Thank you. Use it in moderation.
Thank you so much, Damaris. I think you've been answered, Aduga Alema. You've asked what if I humanize after using AI. You've been told to have a human touch even after using. You're not restricted to use it, but also be keen to go through before submitting. I do have two final questions here, one for Bernard and one for both of you. I'll start with Bernard. What are the communities available for PhD students, particularly in East Africa, on grant writing? I think you can tackle that, and then I'll pose the final question to Damaris.
Okay, thank you. So what I will encourage the members is start home from what we currently know and we have control in. So we've shared the link to our community of practice. So click on it, register, then you'll be able to find a grant writing community. Join, and then you can actually subscribe so that any new conversation that comes on board, you'll be able to be party to it. And then what we said earlier is that when you're in a community, contribute to that community. Don't just be a silent listener. So we expect that all these questions that you are asking here, you'll bring them on the community, and people will be able to give you different perspectives in terms of responses. So start at home. Then we also have some courses that can actually build your confidence in terms of grant writing. So make sure you follow our social media handles so that when we release courses, you'll be able to access. And once you are in a course, there is always a link to help you join a community with people of similar interest like you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bernard. And finally, to you, Damaris. Someone here has asked, can I write 2 proposals or more for a single grant goal?
Yes and no. Yes, if you need to read past whether that at times most calls discourage, because what you're doing, you're gambling. You're trying to gamble. Yeah, but you can write 1 or more if you're the PI, the other one you're co-investigator, there's someone else who's the PI. Those ideas you can if you have a team, you can propose one as a PI, the other one you can be a co-investigator. That actually gives room for you to maybe to get easily funded. But if you put in 2 of them as a PI, they tend to see that you're trying to it's gambling, to trying to see whether you're increasing your chances of winning, which actually can be what is it called, can be looked at like someone who's trying to just you're not very sure what you want to do, so you're gambling with ideas. So usually most call discourage. They say they can consider 1 proposal per PI, and you cannot be in multiple as a PI. But what I know is that you can be a co-investigator in others, and you be one as a PI. So do not or read the requirements of a proposal before submitting. If they have said that categorically, do not. But if they have not mentioned it, it's important to try to seek, because you're gambling. Yeah, try to ensure that you appear in one and a co-investigator in others. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Bernard and Damaris, for gracing our occasion today. We've learned so much from you. Some of the key takeaway points I'm coming out with is my mentorship is intentional, and it is structured, and also peer-to-peer learning. We should encourage peer-to-peer learning. It is not that we see each other as opponents, but more of collaborators. And as we do engage in our communities of practice, it is somewhere where knowledge is applicable and accountable. And here we get to measure our outputs in whatever the discussions that are always ongoing. So with that, I know some questions have been asked if the recording will be shared. Yes, we will share the recording on our APHRC platform, that is YouTube and social media. Please look out for that recording in a week's time. And also, I will also like to direct all of you again to our COP and the virtual learning courses that we've shared the links there. Please engage us, join us. Let us continue this conversation even further. And with that, I would like to bring our webinar to a close. Thanking you again for the great attendance that you've accorded us. This was very, very, very well represented. Thank you so much for attending. I've seen the various regions represented. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you again to our panelists, Bernard and Damaris. We couldn't have done this without you. So thank you for the insightful and informative session that we've had. I can see we're getting a round of applause from the team. Thank you so much, and do look out for the link. I will share the link on our social media once we've cleaned up our recording, and you'll be able to access it. So with that, thank you so much, and do have yourselves a lovely afternoon or morning from wherever you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.